You just got your asses whipped by a bunch of goddamn nerds. Nerds!
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Nerds Pod. I'm your boy Cole. That's Pooba right there. That's Pete right there. And we are about to talk about Daredevil Born Again, episode 4. Well, I have to let everyone know that he didn't wear the suit again. Sitting back and anticipating and waiting. Thinking about this show, after I saw the show, I was wondering, damn, where are they going with this? So I had to rewatch the show to actually get some more input because when I first saw it, I thought it was okay, mid at best. Enough fillers with this. Like, let's get this action going. But when I saw it again, I realized what they were talking about, and it was mainly about how the system of that Kingpin and Matt Murdock is using to try to push their agendas are failing the city and failing the people and not working to their favors. So that's kind of what I got from that episode 4, more or less. But Pooba, you're looking great right now, my brother. Yes, Mayor Fisk. May I ask, what did you think about episode 4?
The show in its format, this episode.
I love this.
Work for me. No, it doesn't. It doesn't work for me. This episode was, and again, I'm going to compare this to a very grounded show that we covered in the Penguin, where we're talking about kind of street level things that are happening, a storyline, a rise to power for myself, for Fisk. This is the portion where I think I talked about this in the first episode, where there was some filming done, then they added stuff in, and they're just kind of pitch patching things together in the show. From what I saw, I didn't see continuity. I think the character's name is Tyrone. Didn't care for that character. Don't care for the Daniel story with Fisk. And I get what you're saying. I got the same thing that you had mentioned. So it's about how the system fails and why the Kingpin has to be the Kingpin for his side, because he has to go through all this bureaucracy, where Daredevil or Matt Murdock is, has a game for, I think it was called Fiddle Faddle, popcorn, is a guy serving time for that. So in a sense, the system doesn't work, so they have to bring something else out. That's what I got out of that show. But it was definitely it felt like a filler. Didn't feel like it was part of the storyline. The best part to me was the niece of White Tiger and Frank Castle and Matt Murdock. Those were the two shining points. The rest of it was fluff, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I hear you. This you wonder that these characters were already built up in the Netflix series that we spoke about before. And I don't feel the need for them to continue pushing that agenda on introducing these characters and so on and so forth. I do want to say, before I go on to Pete, that the guy that was in jail that Matt was serving, it would have been cool, but the actor passed away, man. He rest in peace. It would have been cool if it was Turk. Turk was a character in the Netflix series where he was always around, and what was great about him was he was the only one that was actually in all the series, for the exception of Iron Fist. But he was in all the series. He was always constantly popping up and starting trouble. So I kind of wish it would have been that actor, but that actor passed away. May he rest in peace to him and his family. But Pete, what do you think about episode 4, man?
So I think it was it seemed like it was a letdown for everybody because of the tease that we got last week with the Punisher skull. I think everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's Frank Castle! He's coming back, guns blazing!" And he just ends up having an argument and getting slapped by Matt Murdock. But I don't want to I don't want to like I guess jump to conclusions with oh the episode sucked. Now, Cole and I grew up playing baseball. A lot of baseball ref. I always use a baseball reference. So this to me, I'm gonna use a baseball reference to try to explain how I looked at the episode. We're all looking for home runs. We're all looking for grand slams. This was a single. This was a clean single to left field, setting up the big hitters to come along afterwards. That's how I see it. I don't like to. I try not to jump to conclusions. So yeah, do I want to see? I've said it, I think two episodes ago when Pooba brought it up. Oh, would you like to see Matt Murdock just being a lawyer? Not really, but that's what we got. Unfortunately, the next 3 episodes. So again, I just look at it. They're setting it up. They're setting it up the
Right.
same way a boxer kind of sets somebody up, sets up another fighter. Jab, 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 and then he'll go for the uppercut. You know what I mean? So I look at it that way. Um, but I also saw they're showing us what's pushing Fisk and Murdoch back to being what they're known to be, which is Kingpin. He had this dude in the wherever he was, locked up in a cage, watching him eat. Dude screaming to let him out, and that's the guy apparently who had an affair with his wife while he was gone. And then Matt's on the roof with the Billy Club, getting back into the swing of things, man, getting ready. So I think we're going to see them both again. What we're accustomed to. We got introduced, Frank Castle's back. Um, I'm sure we'll see him again. I'm hoping we see him again. And Muse, we saw a little bit more from Muse. And that's a character I didn't know anything about. And I'm sure whatever I find out now will be thanks to this show. But I know it wasn't. I'm sure it wasn't the most liked show because it lacked action. Matt playing the public defender for that guy. I get it, but and I guess maybe it's the old me finally maturing. I'll be patient. I've been patient, and I understand every episode is not going to be knockdown drag out fights, and some episodes like they're fillers, but I look at them more like setting them up. It's the appetizer. You know what I mean? So I'll look at it that way. I don't want to be, oh man, it sucked because we did get some good things from it.
Right. I like the baseball references. That's pretty cool for those that know baseball. Um, to just clear it up. What Pete was saying is more of a good reference to use. Sports is always a good reference to use to have to know more or less, how you feel and what you're talking about and your opinions and stuff. You did bring up a lot of good points. I would say that there was the teaser. We did see the teaser of all the helmets there, which if it was up to us, Puba, I'll ask you first. Which helmet would you rock?
Ooh, the black one. There was an all black one that looked fire.
Didn't he wear that in the Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man show?
I think it was a reference to that. Yeah, I would say definitely he wore that. But man, the one thing that I do want to see outside of the helmets, it's the DD on the chest. I think it's time that we bring out the DD on the Daredevil logo.
Good point.
I mean, even as bad as the Ben Affleck was, when the fire lit up and it was DD on the ground, that was dope.
That was pretty cool.
Dope. But I need Wilson Fisk to also go back into the closet. It's time to whip out the white suit. I think it's time to bring out the helmet. I think it's time to bring out the suit. We saw Wilson Fisk eating barely nothing in these episodes. Leading up to the last episode, he had a full plate. So it felt like he's ready to put that weight on and be the bully that he used to being. So again, those references are so cool. When I saw a full plate and it was Fisk, I was like, yes, come, gordo, come. I wanted that. So I was glad to see that portion of it. I'm glad to see the way he was practicing with the billy clubs. I could have watched that a little bit longer, more than seeing Tyrone complain about the popcorn. So again, give me that. Give me the action pack. Give me that stuff. to talk about the baseball reference, I think it was a complete strikeout. You had bases loaded. You set us up with some 3 very good episodes, and you left us with one of the biggest cliffhangers: a shot to the head to White Tiger, a Punisher bulletproof
Cameo.
vest on, and it looked great. It looked great, as much as it sucked for what man. But you set us up so big. You had us not. You got, to your point, I think it was 3 singles, bases are loaded, 2 outs. You got the best hitter right now coming up with Punisher. And I don't feel like they got a hit out of that.
Right. It's interesting.
Again, I get the baseball reference and I loved it because I see the opposite side of that where he struck out with the bases loaded.
Right. Very interesting because I do want to ask Pete, Pete, and I will ask you as well, Dwell. Me, when I saw both actors, Matt Murdock and Frank Castle, in that scene alone just made the whole show for me, which it was just absolutely amazing. Pete, what do you think is the importance of having good acting when it comes to these comic book shows and actually portraying as close as you can to the character on comic book?
Well, Frank, there's been a couple of, of interviews of John Bernthal when he first got the role, and he went to a comic book shop, and the guy told him, "Don't fuck this up." The guy told him, and I remember reading after the Netflix series got canceled, somebody said, "Oh, he'd be an awesome Wolverine," and he was like, "That's cool, but Castle's in my blood." And so I read today that he was about to walk away from the role because what they had written for him, he wasn't in agreement with. He was like, "I'm not digging this." So it's important. I'm in agreement. It's very important to have someone who is invested and not just looking at it as a job, but actually enjoying the character that they're playing. And you hear a lot of these guys, "Oh yeah, I hope they bring me back." And I think it's a little bit of both. Of course, they have to eat, they need a job. But there is a part of them really connecting with the character. And look, we're talking about a superhero show where there was no action yesterday, really. And what made it for you? That scene with Frank Castle and Matt Murdock. Same here, because I remember them arguing about the same thing on the roof in the Netflix Daredevil series. So there definitely is a conflict of interest between both of them, the way they want to handle things. But that scene to me was very telling because of they're still butting heads on those issues. And of course it all goes back to the fanboys, is what he called them, because they're rocking his logo. The bullet even had the logo on it.
Yes.
The bullet casing even had the logo on it. Again, I'm in the minority where I thought it was a good episode. Is it the best? No. I'm in the minority. Do I think it's a strikeout? No. It could have been a walk with the bases loaded with your best hitter. It could have been a sacrifice fly. Again, the best episode? No. But a good episode nonetheless for me.
I like the way both of them were going back at it, back and forth. You can actually give them weak lines, and these two actors can deliver it to the T. Another favorite part of mine with Frank is when he calls Matt Red. I think that is so cool. He'd be like, "Red, listen to me," and the relationship that those two have kind of mirror each other. One is for justice and one is for justice, right? But two sides of the same coin, which I think is really cool. Puba, before you were talking about how you're a horror fan. You did get to see a small glimpse of Muse. Are you excited for this character? And what do you expect from this character from this show going forward?
Oh no, yeah, Muse. I'm excited about Muse. I'm glad that they gave you a taste of where he gets his paint from. When he was pulling the blood out of that guy. The one very cool thing about Muse, and Pete, you'll learn this about Muse. He has a thing about blood, and the one thing that's special about his blood is that Daredevil can't hear his heartbeat, and he can't even know where he's at.
Hmm.
So just give you a heads up. This is why he plays with blood, because the way he off his energy, Daredevil can't hear him or see him. So I'm hoping they take that turn on it. But Muse was dope, carrying a body right from the jump, you know. And I think they made a. You didn't focus in it before, but when he was doing the Kingpin artwork, when he did the Triggered artwork as well, we didn't focus that he tagged Muse on it. You just kind of missed it in those first 2 episodes. I think they did a really good job on this episode to actually highlight who did that artwork. But the fact remains is that they again, a quick tease. I guess in this New York City version, and since we grew up in New York City, there's no cameras in the train stations. Like, that doesn't exist in this version. And I know there's so many cameras at the train that it probably would have picked up some guy walking through the train station, especially through live, where live trains are going through. But Muse was dope. He looked so good. He looked amazing. Like, just the look of it, the blood spatter coming down his eyes, the costume fitting directly the way it should. Man, I'm hoping he does something to the psychiatrist that makes Matt Daredevil go absolutely insane, and so insane that it drives her client Fisk over the wall, that he doesn't have the psychiatrist to fix his marriage. So I'm hoping Muse guts her up. That's my take on it, man. I loved the way he looked, man. The way he was just carrying the body. He doesn't have this big superhuman strength, but he was dope. He was dope to look at.
Yeah, that's very interesting about Muse. Like you said, he's comic book accurate from what I see, the comparisons. Now, John, just like Pete, I never heard of this character, and I'm curious to know what he's gonna do for me in this episode. Uh yes. Pardon me, excuse me for that. So, I grew up in the Bronx in the 80s, and there was a lot of graffiti out there, and a lot of graffiti artists, when they put their piece up, they will always put who they are, right?
The official hashtag. It was their tag. That's what we used to call it, right? Their tag.
That is correct, and that is the official hashtag. So, shout out to Tat's crew and all those that were doing graffiti at those times. And the comparisons of using Muse. I'm curious to know what Muse and the murals have to do as well with that character. So let me ask you guys. This was, Pete's in the minority of this, who was not a fan, but I want to ask, what would be more of your preference? Would you rather wait till the whole season finishes and then binge watch it for an episode like this to just go by and you can just go on and move on to the next and see what happens and completely completely see the whole entire season? Or are you okay with watching it week by week and, anticipating what's going to happen next, where there could be some filler episodes that you have to wait a whole entire week for the next episode? P, I'll ask you, what would be your preference?
Unfortunately, they made the decision for us. We gotta wait. But yeah, when it was on Netflix, you would see that, oh my God, there's somebody finished the season already, and it's they've released Friday and it's Saturday afternoon and somebody finished it already. It's a good question. Like I said, it sucks they kind of made the decision for us. But I would prefer to have it all in one shot. I would prefer to have it all in one shot, because then an episode like this, you can take the taste out of your mouth by watching the next one. But then you set yourself up for spoilers, because, like I said, somebody may have watched it in 13 hours and binged the whole thing, like really binged it, and people are out there talking about how it ended, and you don't want to have to deal with that if you're on social media. So I would prefer to. I see that, and then also subscriptions come into play. They don't want people to watch it, then cancel the subscription. So they want to keep you with that subscription for at least until middle of April. And then, but asking me, I would prefer the whole thing all at once. But I get why they do it, and they made the decision for us.
Valid points. What about you, Puba? How do you feel about binging towards, waiting old
I
school
like
way?
binging a show the same way you binged Invincible. Like if I'm trying to catch up to a conversation piece, then I can understand the binge worthy if it's binge worthy. And I think you found Invincible to be binge worthy, right? For the most part. I like the bits and pieces because you're not left alone after an episode, and you can actually either talk to people, you can read a comic book in between to figure out what this is all trying to lead up to. I think it's phenomenal that we get to an honor too to talk about this episode by episode, watch it episode by episode, break down the episodes because you get to enjoy the ride. I mean, my all-time favorite shows in the sense of like Sons of Anarchy and Game of Thrones. I'm glad that I saw it episode by episode weekly. Tuesdays are now a special night in my house. It is a Daredevil night. At 9 o'clock, everything has to shut down. Everything focuses on because the show overall is still good. I'm still a fan favorite, and I'll still say this: this is still my favorite Marvel TV series. Without a shadow of a doubt, I think in what you asked, Pete, I don't know of a better Marvel series than the acting here. That's the reason why. I think Berthol delivers, and we've waited 4 episodes to get to Berthol. But so uh, uh, um, I enjoy watching it week by week. I enjoy the characters coming in, the White Tiger that was here, even his niece, his sister, his wife. Again, all these people that they're bringing in little by little. I'm enjoying the ride. I'm on the opposite side of Pete, where I'm okay with the breaks in between. I'm still taking in episode 3 in the sense of White Tiger. I'm still having a hard time to swallow that one. So for me, I'm comparing to such an epic episode for 3 to 4. But now I like you said, I want to get to 5 already, but I'm okay with being patient, understanding that there's a lot to break down. There's a lot to discuss. And I think breaking episodes over each week allows the viewer, the person that is enjoying this to enjoy the ride a little bit longer than just to give you one big long story right from the jump. So I don't miss the Netflix way they did it. I do like the way Disney's doing it.
I can agree with both of you guys. I mean, both valid points on both sides. Look, there are pros and cons of binging, where you can create your own schedule on the pro side, and on the con side, you don't get those. Some episodes won't hit as hard as they would because you ran through it so fast. Where the pro for waiting week by week is to actually take in the entire episode and then have the anticipation. The con is that if you do have a mediocre to bad episode, it sucks that you kind of wasted 2 weeks of your life. I personally like the format that they did for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because it was 3, 2, 2, 3, game over. So it gave me just enough. It gave me an hour and a half of Spider-Man, but I still had 2 more episodes to go and wait. So even if one of those episodes didn't hit, I'm hoping the other 2 did. And I hope that maybe they can go forward with that kind of format where they'll throw in the 3, the 2, and the 3. But I guess it's all according to schedules and what they have going on over there. Um, any predictions for episode 5? Pete, you got anything?
Well, we got 2 episodes next week, so
Beautiful. So
we
5 and 6.
we got
Cole gets his request. Cole got his request.
we got a double header next week.
Yes.
More baseball references.
I love it.
Um, I mean, I think they set it up well with the teaser at the end of episode 4. Fisk looks like he's getting back into it. Murdoch looks like he's getting back into it. We may see in these next 2 episodes what we've been waiting for, that they kind of put on hold while Matt was, trying to be a lawyer, trying to leave Daredevil alone. Fisk trying to be a politician, and doesn't look like they can escape that. So I think they're going to end up going back to what they know, and we got some interesting pieces as well added to it. White Tiger's niece. It may even it may pass to White Tiger's niece or his sister, I believe, right? Um, and Punisher. How's he gonna play? What role is he gonna play into this? And Muse got a lot of factors that are gonna really turn this story different ways. So excited to see that. Just to see how they all kind of mesh together, because we got four different characters, and let's not forget about Bullseye. So it's hoping for some fireworks. I'll put it that way. Prediction wise, I just think we're gonna see Daredevil finally in his costume and in his uniform, and then we're also gonna see Fisk starting to get his hands dirty more, the way he's known to.
Awesome, man. Let's hope that they could rev it up and really give us what we've been waiting for, like you said, and thank you for pointing that out. The 2 episodes, so we do get a doubleheader, another baseball reference. I have a question for Puba. Hey, Puba, you think there's too many characters in this, and it's a little sloppy and going all over the place, and not being able to like concentrate on maybe Matt and just Kingpin, or you think they're doing a fine job spreading the love?
No, I think they are. I think spreading the love is exactly what they're doing. We get a taste of Bullseye right from the jump. We get Kingpin right from the jump. We get White Tiger coming up, batting up third. Again, baseball references here. And we get kind of in episode 4, the cleanup spot. We get Frank Castle. My biggest fear is that we don't get any more Frank Castle. That they just brought him in here to give the verbal tate quieto, the verbal kind of wake up call that Frank was making by saying this guy's name, Foggy.
Foggy, yeah.
Yeah. So my biggest fear is that we don't see Daredevil again. And the only thing
you mean Frank Castle?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Frank Castle. You're absolutely right. The only thing we get left is now, which I think is the rogue cops wearing the Punisher's kind of logo. That's what we'll get moving forward, and you won't see Frank Castle to the end. That is a fear of mine. So just so they could say, okay, now let's go back to Frank Castle in his own series. But that's my biggest fear there, because I can't really see the way Frank Castle works. I don't think he works the way the Defenders work. Maybe more Jessica Jones, but so and future-wise of that. I think Muse is going to kill the psychiatrist, which triggers both ends, the love interest for Matt Murdock and the psychiatric part of him not. If he loses the psychiatrist, he loses his wife. So I think, and I'm hoping Muse does that, where he allows Daredevil to become Daredevil. Now he can't say nothing because Daredevil's doing his work where he can't do so. I see Daredevil and Fisk working together by the end of this. That they're born again together, they'll rise together, and they'll work to end Muse. So there's a prediction. That's a hot take that I'll take. I think Muse kills psychiatrist, and Fisk and Daredevil wind up working together, where something happens where at the end they'll be like, okay, we can't be on the same team anymore. Something of that nature. But I'm hoping that's what kind of works and where the storyline is going. But my biggest fear is that we don't see Castle after this.
I like that. I like the way you do the predictions, because we anticipate them or not, and then see how it plays out, and be able to go back and be like, oh, I didn't see that, or wow, I kind of figured that was going to happen. Yeah. I think just anticipating is also fun, especially knowing these characters and stuff. I do have to bring up one thing. Kingpin hasn't made me laugh as much ever while either reading the comic books, seeing him in cartoons. But this time when the kids were singing and they were going to go for a second round, and he goes, no, you're good. I couldn't help but laugh and be like, yo, this is not the Kingpin I'm kind of used to, but I thought that was pretty funny. And I like that they lighten him up a little bit with that.
No,
So
then he had to hear it a second time.
and then in a different language, which was hilarious. There are like some comedic points in this show, which kind of throws off the tone because given the fact that these two they're more gritty and grimy and street level, that to have this kind of tone, like this comedic tone, especially from the Kingpin, throws me off a little bit. But I am excited for the next episodes, and hopefully this thing could turn up again. Well, that'll do it for us in the Nerds Podcast. I'm Cole. That's Pete. That's Pooba. We hope you enjoyed the show. Click the like, subscribe, comment. We'll be down to talk to you guys as well. Give us your theory, your predictions on episodes 5 and 6. And we hope to see you again real soon.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Pooba.
Happy birthday, brother. We will return.
The worst episode ever.